Welcome back, everyone. Hello, hello. Good to be with you. Continuing with our daily study. What a blessing, what a merit. How exciting to get to access this great light, to get to help reveal this great light, to help connect to the tree of life reality. As we said yesterday, to connect to this light that completely burns away anything that separates us between ourselves and our soul, between us and the Creator. We just started a beautiful section of actually a great secret about what's called the 320 sparks. We have spoken about this once or twice before, but today this is one of the main places that the Zohar speaks about this. So we're going to delve into that again with the whole story of Elijah the prophet and Elisha. So um, today's study is all about doubling our strength, taking our spiritual work to the completely to the next level, drawing down not just a little more blessings, but exponential growth within ourselves and in the blessings that we receive and the light that's revealed in this world. So we meditate that through the study we're awakening more love in the world, more love within ourselves in the world. We're connecting to the tree of life reality, as we said, with deep appreciation for the merit that we have to have access to this light that we live in after Rav Shimon has revealed all of these secrets, after Rav Shimon has revealed the light of the Zohar, after Rav Ashlag, who has who wrote the commentary, who revealed the secrets we're going to study today, has already revealed them. We live in such a blessed time. And with that appreciation, we can create a vessel to receive all of this light. Just a reminder, we're starting a new portion on Monday, this coming Monday. So let your friends know. Think about one person, two people who you know will benefit from connecting more to the Zohar. It's every day, it's a little bit of Zohar, but the little bit adds up, right? We've studied already. This will be our 11th portion that we're completing together. So every day that adds up, a little bit of effort every day adds up to a lot. And the inspiration and the messages from the Zohar and the light from the Zohar, we have no idea what it does for ourselves and for the world. It's unimaginable the good that it's doing. So, and as we said, it's the most powerful form of cleansing. It's the most powerful form of elevating our consciousness. So, if you know someone who needs a little bit more of that, let them know. Tell them to join for once a week if they can't do every day. But is the best gift you can give anyone is the gift of the Zohar. So it's a beautiful time to begin. The portion of Miket specifically, is well known for awakening abundance. It's for the energy of for business and for wealth because Joseph the righteous and all the energy that is available in the portion. So it's also a great opportunity to invite anyone. So here we go. Hopefully tomorrow I'll have some updates on the Daily Zohar book, our fundraising for it. We've moved the dial a little bit. We still have a long way to go to Lag BaOmer, so hopefully we'll all work together to do that. Okay, here we go. Today is the 12th day of the Omer as well, so it's the energy of Hod, of Gvura. So we're also drawing in that support. Prayer of the Ari to open up our hearts, to prepare us for this incredible revelation. ריבון העולמים ואדוני האדונים אב הרחמים וסליחה לכל בנים אנחנו לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ולאהי אבותינו בגידה ובהשתחוויה אשר קרבת אותנו לתורתך ולעבודתך ולעבודת הקודש ונתת לנו חלק בסודות תורתך הקדושה עמנו וחיינו אשר עשיתם לנו חסד גדול כזה. וכן אנחנו מעפילים בחנוננו לבניך שתמחו ותסלח לכל חטאותינו ועוונותינו ואל יהיו עוונותינו מעפילים בידינו לבניך וכן יהיה רצון בניך אדוני ולאבותינו שתכונן את לבבינו ליראתך ולאהבתך ותקשיב אוזניך לדברינו אלה ותפתח לבבינו הערה בסודות תורתך ויהיה לבנינו זה נחת רוח לפני חסך ותחכך ניחוח ותציל עלינו עומר כל נשמתנו וכל בחינתנו ושיתנוצצו ניצוצות עבדיך הקדושים אשר ידם גילית את דבריך על העולם וזכותם 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 יעמוד לנו דבר נקשר בדבר אלו וזכותם תראה עלינו ומה שאמונים כמאמר נעים זה מאירות ישראל גל עיניו והביט את דברי תורתך כי אדוני תתך חוכמה מפיו דעת ותבונה יהיו לרצון עם מפיו הגן לפניך אדוני צור וגואלי. Okay. So we're discussing the story of Elijah the prophet, Eliyahu Hanavi, and his successor, his student, his closest student, Elisha the prophet. And Elijah the prophet knows that he's going to leave the world. So he tells his student, Elisha, when I ask me for anything you want, when I leave, if you, what can I give you? What blessing can I give you? What can I give you before I go? So his student Elisha answers him, "Vayomer Elisha, v'hina pishnayim berucha elai." Give me a double portion of your spirit. I want double your strength. I want double your ability. I want double your light. And we asked a few questions from the Zohar. And by the way, Michael Berg discusses this section a few times throughout the years. He went from what I've seen, the most detail he's gone into this section specifically. He actually reads through the entire commentary, almost the entire commentary of Rav Ashlag, which is beautiful. I even thought to just show that today instead of even reading anything myself, but then we might not make it for our CU on Friday. So, but everyone can watch on their own time. It's the portion of Devarim from 2009. Okay, incredibly powerful. And he some of what he shares I'll share today, but there's a lot more there that we're not going to get to. It has to do with Tisha B'Av and everything, but it's interesting. This is what we're speaking about here. Um, the because we're going to learn about the ninth level, so it comes up on Rosh Hashanah sometimes about Teshuvah on the year 570 5770. Michael Berg spoke about this as well. And then also Dvarim 2009 and a few other times. So just to recap, because this chapter started on paragraph 257 and we're on paragraph 260. So basically, the Zohar asks a few questions. How could Elisha ask? Number one, why would Elijah the prophet tell him to ask him for a blessing? Right? Blessings come from the Creator. Second question is, how could Elisha ask for something that Elijah doesn't even have? How could you ask for someone? How can you ask double of what a person has? A person can only give what they have. He can't give two of if you only have one. So the Zohar begins to answer that because Elijah the prophet is a tzaddik, so he can give anything. He can, the Creator will do whatever he says. But then, um, and then the Zohar also answers that actually he's not asking for double his soul. He's asking for, if he had the ability to do one miracle, then to revive the dead once, then Elisha wants the ability to revive the dead twice. If Elijah had the ability to, as we said, perform 8 miracles with the power of his soul, Elisha wants to perform 16 miracles, which he did. But the Zohar is going to go a little deeper, and again, this is all related to Joseph the Righteous and the story of the dreams. So we'll go into it together. Paragraph 260. Maktiv Vayomer. So what is a condition? Elijah the prophet says that he'll be able to receive what he asked for. What is a condition that Elisha will be able to receive double the soul, double the spirit? He says, Vayomer Hiksheta lishol im tira oti lukach meitach yehi lecha chen ve'im ein lo ihya. He says, you've asked me for a difficult thing, Elijah the prophet tells him. However, if you see me as I am being taken from you, this will be granted to you. If not, it will not. So we know Elijah the prophet did not die, but it says like a chariot of fire came and took him up. And Elijah the prophet tells his student, what you want is difficult, but if you are present, the moment I leave this world, the moment I'm taken out of this world, the moment I'm taken, your wish will be granted, right? The blessing you desire will be fulfilled. My tama, why? My tama im tiraoti. Why is it dependent on if he sees him being taken from him? Why does he have to see him? Why does he have to be present during that last moment when he's in this world? Ella, so the Zohar answers rather, Amale, he told him, Im, what does it mean if you see me? It really means, Im techul mekam al ikara derucha dishvakna lach. If you're able to understand the essence of my soul, of my spirit, that I'm going to leave you, Bishat ditne sevna minach. The moment that I leave you, yehel lacha keden. It will be yours. You'll be able to receive it. Right? So he tells him, if you're present the moment I leave, but really not about being present. If you can really attach yourself, you can understand. Understand is a level of affinity, of connection. If you're able to connect to the moment that I leave, then you'll be able to receive this blessing. Daha kolahu ikara derucha b'shata distakel be, because the whole essence of the spirit at the moment that you see it, the moment that you connect to it, karchame le Eliyahu, when he saw Elijah the prophet, um, when looking at Elijah the prophet, Yeheved devekuta be kitkayot. He will be able to attach to him, to cleave to him as he should. So this is the Zohar's answer to this whole question, and Rav Ashlag is going to clarify it a bit, but then he's going to give a whole other answer about, as we explained, about the 320 sparks. So first, let's just explain what the Zohar here says. He says that Elijah the prophet is the essence of that spirit, of that light, and in order to receive of that spirit, you have to connect to it at its root. So Elijah the prophet was telling his student, you have to be connected to the essence of my soul, and if you're there, because my essence of my soul will be revealed the moment that I leave. If you're there at the moment that my essence of my soul is revealed, and you're able to connect to that, then you'll receive double my spirit. Now, Rav Ashlag explains it, as I said. He says, "Avad yesh lish'ol al tirutz hazeh." So Rav Ashlag is not satisfied with the Zohar's answer, because he's saying the literal understanding of this section is is um, is not the true depth of what's being really going on here. What this whole section is about, as we said, is how to double in our strength. Elisha is asking for double what his teacher could do, or double what he could do, and this gives us the ability to do that. So let's go into this whole concept of what's called the 320 sparks. Because Rav Ashlag is not satisfied with this answer, because at the end of the day, he's still giving double of what he has. How can he give? How could Elijah the prophet give double? How could someone give double, more than what they have? And um, and then he asks, well, if it's not going to be Elijah the prophet giving it, it's going to be the Creator. Then why even bother asking Elijah the prophet? Just ask the Creator. So here, ulavin zeh tzrichim la'amik yoter b'pnimiyut advarim. So Rav Ashlag says, to understand this, we have to go much deeper into the matter here. He says the whole thing has to do with what's called the 320 sparks. What are these 320 sparks? Just for those who are unfamiliar, to remind us, it basically represents during the time of the shattering of the vessel, during the process of creation, 320 sparks of light, pure light, fell into the klipot, fell into the negative side. And what are these 320 sparks? Why specifically 320? Because it says there were 8 kings. These 8 kings represent the sfirot of Da'at, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Yisod, Malchut. And there are 4 phases, 4 levels of these 8 kings, which equal 32. And then there are, as we know, 10 sfirot, so it's 32 sparks within each of the sfirot equals 320, right? So if we look at the 10 sfirot, there are 320 sparks in each sfira, but then there within these 320, Rav Ashlag explains that we split it into 2 parts. The 288 sparks of the first 9 levels, and then the last 32 sparks of the final level, the 10th level. Why 288 and 32? The 288 sparks represents the aspect of the work that we are able to do. Our spiritual work is the purification of these 288 sparks. What does it mean, the purification of these 288 sparks? As we said, these sparks of light, these great sparks of light are trapped in the klipot, in the negativity. Every spiritual action we do, right? This is helping reframe our spiritual work. A lot of us think that we need to draw down more blessings in our lives, and that's how, we have to bring more light into the world. We have to draw more blessings, and that's how we'll experience more blessings. this teaching flips that whole concept on its head, because it's not about bringing in more light. All the light that needs to be revealed in this world has already been revealed. Our work is to extract the sparks of light that are in the klipot. How do we do that? Every time we do restriction, every time we do teshuvah, we change. Every time we go out of our comfort zone, every time we pray and we share and we do mitzvot and we meditate and we do positive actions, what we're doing is we're extracting the light from the klipot, these 288 sparks. This is the work of humanity. Every person has 320 personal sparks, and the humanity has 320 sparks that need to be elevated. You extract that, you take that light out of the negativity, and that now becomes a vessel, and you're able to receive the light that already exists. So the problem is, though, that we are unable to purify, to cleanse the last 32 sparks, the ones of Malchut. That's what's called Lev Ha'even. Lev means 32. The heart, Lev means heart. So the heart of stone is the one that we can't touch. And Rav Shimon here explains that these last 32 sparks correspond to the level of Malchut. After the 288, after Keter to Yesod, all the other 9 levels have been corrected, then the Creator comes and purifies the last. So our job is not to purify the 320 sparks. We can't do the last 32. We can only do the first 288 sparks. And that's our spiritual work personally and globally. That's also here Rav Shimon explains, that's why even if a person corrects themselves completely, they manage to become like a perfect tzaddik, we still live in a world that the last 32 have not been cleansed. Even if they cleanse their own sparks, because the last 32 still have not been cleansed, it can only be cleansed at the end of the correction, then that's still why people have to die. Death is a reality as long as these final sparks have not been cleansed. And those final sparks will only be cleansed at the end of the correction. And then when those final sparks are cleansed, then finally it will be in the reality of Bilam Avanetzach, the death will be swallowed up forever, because finally all the klipot have been removed. Because what is a klipa? Klipa is a spark of light that is covered with a shell. If you remove the spark of light, the shell dies. So over, thousands of years of tikkun, apparently we have not managed to completely cleanse these 288 sparks so that the Creator can cleanse the last 32, the Lev Ha'even. And it says when we get there, then finally the Creator will remove Asiyoti Lev Ha'even, the Creator will remove the heart of stone and replace it with, and will give us a new heart, a heart of flesh, as it says in the writings of the prophets. So here Rav Shimon clarifies that our job is not to do 32, it'll happen on its own. Once we do the 288, it'll happen on its own. So now here Rav Shimon explains what is the aspect of Elijah the prophet. Who is Elijah the prophet? Why does Elijah the prophet have to do with all of this? And why are we talking about this 320 sparks? He says that Elijah the prophet, the soul of Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet, is the soul that is able to correct all 288 sparks. At the end of the correction of the 288 sparks, then the final 32 sparks will be corrected. And that's why it says Elijah the prophet will come at the end of the correction. He's going to come with the revelation of Mashiach, of Messiah. But that's also why the numerical value of the name Eliyahu, Elijah, 130, 10, 5, 6, is 52. Because 52, the level of 52 represents the correction of the level of Malchut. These are the different ways to spell the Yud Vavke, the name of God, connected to Chochmah, Binah, and Pina Malchut. The numerical value of 52, Yud Vav Dal KK, Vav Vav KK, is related always to the realm of Malchut, which is the numerical value of Eliyahu. So Elijah the prophet's essence is the correction of the Malchut, which represents the final 32 sparks. That's the soul of Elijah the prophet. So what was when Elisha was asking him, give me double your soul, he wasn't asking him for the double of his own soul. He wasn't asking for the ability to correct the 32, because only Elijah the prophet could do that. But he was asking, essentially, I'm skipping a lot of here, or Rav Shimon is saying, he's asking, give me the ability like you to correct, to purify the 288 sparks, so that the 32 will be completed on their own. אלישע ביקש ממנו שמלבד הרוח דרפ"ח שלו, יזכה להשיג ממנו גם את תיקון לב העשירי. Give me the ability to purify the 288, and with that comes the ability to cleanse the 32 sparks. I hope I'm explaining this well enough, because it's a very important concept, and even just studying about this, by the way, gives us the ability to correct our own 288 sparks that remain and the world's 288 sparks. Just by studying this, it opens up this ability. So essentially, what Elijah the prophet tells him is, if you're present when I leave this world, right? What does it mean when a tzaddik leaves the world and a righteous person leaves the world? It means they complete their purpose. When we complete our purpose, we leave this world. But Elijah the prophet is different. Elijah the prophet's work is these 32 sparks. So his work happens after he leaves this world. Our work, why Elijah the prophet told Elisha, you have to be present the moment that I leave, then you'll be able to receive this double the soul, double the blessing, double the spirit. He says, if you see me leave, it means the revelation of this final correction of the final 32 sparks happens. So Elijah the prophet says, look, the moment that I'm going to leave, it's exactly the moment that the light of the correction of the entire 320 sparks, 288 plus 32, is going to be revealed. If you're present at that exact moment, when I finish my purpose in this physical world, you're going to receive that ability. But if you miss that exact moment, because that's the moment this correction occurs, you're not going to have it. So Michael Berg explains this whole concept of the 320 sparks, this whole concept of the 288 that we're responsible for, has to do with the spiritual work that we do. All of our work should be directed in this area of actually cleansing these sparks of light that already, the light that already exists. We just need to create the vessels for them. And that's what's called Mayin Nukvin. When we elevate Mayin Nukvin, it represents what's called the female waters. It basically means we create a vessel for the creator's endless light. So let's make it practical. Let's say you have an aspect of, right, let's say you're doing spiritual work, but your spiritual work is very routine, right? It's not with this intention of actually cleansing these sparks. It's not with the intention of actual transformation. It's a spiritual work that is, let's say, comfortable. It's a spiritual work that does not have to do with the essence of your soul. It's just nice spiritual work. That's not where this takes place. That's why Elijah the prophet told him, you have to be there the moment that I leave. The moment that I leave represents the moment that we touch these 320 sparks, the darkest of the levels. The darkest of the levels. Where is the real spiritual work? The times that we reveal the greatest light is the time of the time of the Gemara Tikkun, the revelation of the end of the correction, is the moments when we experience the greatest darkness. That means that we're touching the bottom of these 288 sparks, leading into the 32 sparks. So every time we face darkness, every time we face a challenge, but we awaken our soul at that moment, every time we're faced, that's why also this whole teaching has to do with the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av. 9th of Av has to do, as we learned about this in the portion of Vayeshev, has to do with the correction of the 9th level of Yesod, of the final 288 sparks, so that the 10th, the Creator, will correct the 10th level. So every moment of darkness, every moment of challenge, every moment of negativity is, Elijah the prophet says, that is the moment. How do you double your light? How can you double your strength? It's in the moments of your darkness. The moments of your darkness are where you double your strength. The moments of challenge, the moments of negativity, when you awaken your consciousness at that moment, when you awaken certainty at that moment, when you're able to do restriction at that moment, when you're able to have consciousness in the moments of darkness, that's how you double. That's how you double your blessings. That's how you double your strength. That's what Elisha learned from his teacher, Elijah, Eliyahu Navi, that if you're able to have consciousness, if you're able to see the light at that final moment of darkness, everything will be transformed. You reveal the correction of the 320, last 32 sparks. So this is the essence of all of our spiritual work. All of our spiritual work revolves around the elevation of the sparks in the greatest darkness. That's why spiritual work is not about sitting and just meditating. It's about facing your darkness, facing your fears, going out of your comfort zone, sharing when you don't feel like it, connecting when you don't feel like it. That's because that's how you purify these sparks. And life is going to send us those opportunities to have consciousness even in the darkness. There's a lot, many other explanations and secrets and a lot of depth within this, but I realize we're almost out of time. So I hope I explained this well enough to be able to understand it to whatever degree, because this is a huge secret. Maybe I'll post the recording of Michael Berg, who explains it obviously much better. And you could study. He explains. He actually reads through most of the commentary. But let's go to paragraph 261, because now this whole introduction was to help explain the process of Joseph the Righteous and the dream that he interpreted. So paragraph 261, come and see. Whoever carefully looks at what he learns from his teacher, and he sees it with wisdom, and he sees everything that he learned with wisdom, he can add to that spirit, he can add additional portion to that spirit. Right? Meaning what we learn from our teachers is like a foundation, then you can build upon it. Right? The revelations of the Rav of Kabbalah are on a different level, because every teacher brings down the wisdom to a lower and lower level. So the Rav was able to bring down this wisdom to such a low level that all of humanity could understand the concept of restriction. All of humanity can understand the concept of certainty. Those are taking what Moses revealed, and Rav Shimon revealed, and the Ari revealed, and the Baal Shem Tov, and Vashlag, and Rav Brandwein, and the Rav and Karen revealed it on such a low level because they understood the essence, and they were able to draw it down further and further. Come and see. Everything that Joseph did, he saw it in the spirit of wisdom, in the image of his father. Right, the relationship that Joseph and Jacob had was very special. Jacob was teaching Joseph everything because he understood that he was his successor in terms of spiritual energy in this world. So he would see everything in the image of his father, which was his teacher. He would look at everything from that perspective, through that view of the spirit of his father. And therefore, he was successful in everything he did. He managed to add another spirit, another level, in an additional supernal shining light. Superior illumination was added to Joseph. So here Rav explains, what does that mean? We know that Jacob represents the energy of Tiferet. He is the central column of the upper triad. He's the central column of the upper three-column system. Joseph is the central column of the lower three-column system. Right? So Jacob is the balance between Chesed and Gvura. Joseph is the balance between Netzach and Hod. And Jacob represents the aspect of Zerampin that is concealed. Joseph represents the aspect of Zerampin that is revealed. Jacob represents the aspect of the concealed Chasadim. Joseph represents the aspect of the revealed mercy, the revealed Chasadim, with the illumination of Chokhmah. So it's at a much higher level. So what? Could Joseph reveal greater light than his father? Was Joseph greater than his father? No. Joseph added to the revelation of his father. Are the Rav and Karen greater than the kabbalists before them? No. They've added to imagine they have all the light that's ever been revealed, and then they just take that to the next level. That's how Joseph was able to reveal greater light than his father, but he himself wasn't greater than his father. Same thing with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai revealed the Zohar. It doesn't make him greater than his teacher Rabbi Akiva, but he was able to take all the light that Rabbi Akiva revealed and then take it to the next level because he connected the essence of it. That's how a lineage works. And that's our work, by the way, right? We're not great. We're going to bring the end of the pain, suffering, and death. We're going to bring Mashiach, not because we're greater than the other generations, but because we take everything that was revealed and we add to it. Paragraph 262. So when the wine steward was saying his dream to Joseph, he said, he told his dream to Joseph. Joseph told him, "Tell me your dream. I'll interpret it for you." He says, there was a vine in front of me. What does it mean there was a vine in front of me? At that moment, Izdaza Yosef. Joseph became very frightened. He trembled. He didn't understand what he was talking about here, what this whole concept, what the dream was all about. Because Joseph understood the dream had to do with him. But when he heard that there was a grapevine in front of him, he became very afraid. Rav Shimon explains why. Because the grapevine could represent the grapevine of the negative side that comes from the pure left column without the central column, without balance of the right and central column. So he was afraid that this revelation represents extreme judgment. He thought the dream that had to do with him was extreme judgment. But then after he continues to expound on the dream, the next verse, he says, but in the vine there were three branches. As soon as he heard there were three branches, miyad ita ruche. Immediately his spirit, his soul was awakened because he understood the three branches represent the central column, represent the left that is united with the right and the central column, which represent the perfect balance. And he saw that the illumination, he received additional illumination, and now he saw the image of his father Jacob representing the central column. Once his soul, his spirit was awakened, he understood what was going on. Once the central column was awakened, he understood that actually this is a message, a very positive dream. It's not a extreme judgment. It represents a great blessing. Paragraph 263, Maktiv, what does it say? When it says that there were three branches on the vine, Amar Yosef, Joseph said, surely this is a message of a good dream, good tidings. This is finally, after 10 years in prison, finally the revelation occurs. Goodness finally manifests. My Tama, how does he know that? Because he saw that this vision of the dream of these three vines has to do with what's called the Knesset Yisrael, the congregation of Israel. That's representing the level of Malchut, the perfected Malchut, the collective souls of humanity. And he was being given this. He was being informed of this great revelation of light. Meaning that the time of control, that his time had come, that the light of his soul to be removed from him, to be free from prison, for him to control the world and bring light to the world. The time of Yesod, the correction of Yesod had occurred. He understood that this message was for him, that everything was going to change now. And the Zohar gives another explanation. What are these three vines? They represent the upper three levels, the nafke mehagef, and they come from this vine. Kahane Levai Israeli. It represents the level of Kohen, Levi, Israel, represents the revelation of the right column, left column, and central column of Zerampim in the perfected Malchut. I know we're over time, we're just going to continue a little more. 264. So this dream continues, the description of the dream continues. So there was three branches, which represent right column, left column, central column, perfection of the souls of humanity, and Malchut, the revelation of Joseph. But then he continues and explains that in the dream he also saw that it was budding and the blossoms reached out. What does that mean? He saw that because of the revelation, because of this revelation of the central column, the Knesset Yisrael, the souls of the perfection of the souls of humanity, congregation of Israel, is elevated. And they are blessed from the supernal king, which is level of Zerampim. So the Nukva, Malchut, Knesset Yisrael, souls of humanity, are blessed from the higher level of Zerampim, which represents the revelation of the blessings, the connection of Zerampim and Malchut, the connection of masculine and feminine, the fulfillment of the vessel. And then the dream continues. Hivshilu eshkelotei anavim. When it says that the clusters on it produced ripe grapes. These represent, what are the clusters of grapes? They represent the righteous, the tzaddikim in the world. The inun ka'anavim mevushalim kitkachazeh. They are like ripe grapes, perfectly ripe grapes as they should be. The tzaddikim are like the ripe grapes. Another explanation. Right? These are all interpretations that Joseph is having when he hears about the dream. What does it mean that what does the ripe grapes represent? Dahu yain de neter bein vaihu. It represents wine that is preserved in its grapes from the 6 days of creation. And this concept of the wine that is preserved from the 6 days of creation is a concept that comes up often in the writings of the Kabbalists. It also represents, it says, we learned about this, what is the final meal that is served in the garden, in the end of the correction, in the Garden of Eden. One of them is the wine that we're talking about here, that is preserved from the days of creation. What does that mean? It means it's the wine that was not tinged by the fall of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. When the grapes are still, when the juice of the grapes, or the wine is still in the grapes, it is still protected. The moment it is exposed, then it's exposed to the elements, exposed to negative energy, the negativity, the klipot can latch onto it. So as long as it hasn't been revealed, as long as it hasn't been expressed from the grape itself, it means that the klipot can't take that light. Because wine is considered the revelation of the illumination of Bina, the left column of Bina. And when it's drawn from above to below, that's what's called the sin of the tree of knowledge. That's what Adam and Eve did. One of the explanations Zohar says, a lot of us think the tree of knowledge, the sin of the tree of knowledge, was Adam and Eve eating an apple. Actually, the Zohar says it was more likely grapes. The tree of knowledge was actually a grapevine, and they took from those grapes. The squeezing of the grapes means revealing the light in a way that is just used for selfishness, from above to below. The selfish connection to infinite light. That was the problem of Adam and Eve in the tree of knowledge. They took the endless light and they used it for selfishness. Our work is to take endless light and reveal more light from it. So the squeezing of the grapes, when Eve squeezed the grapes, it means that she gave the light to the negativity. We should spend much more time on that, but we're short on time. 265. Adhacha. So this whole first part of the dream, Joseph understood that this was all for him. The whole first part of the dream that the butler, the wine steward, shared, that had to do with him. But now the rest of the dream has to do with the butler himself. So the first part of the dream was all about Joseph. The second part of the dream, right, until now was Joseph. The second part of the dream is all about the butler himself. Begin to eat chelmin le ulacharanin. There are dreams. When a person has dreams, they can have dreams about themselves and about others. So now the second part of the dream, when it says, so some of the dreams are about the dreamer, some of them are about others. Then it says in the dream, Va'ekach et anavim. So it says after there was the 3 vines and the grapes came from them. Then he says, I have Pharaoh's cup in my hand and I'm squeezing the grapes. Take the grapes and I squeeze them into the cup. What does it mean to squeeze the grapes? It represents that it's now talking about the butler, and this part of the dream is not about himself. Now, we know what happened to the butler. He was freed. He was found innocent and he was freed. So the second part of the dream is about how he will live. We know the baker does not have the same, survive. He doesn't have the same message in the dream. So this was specifically about the butler. Let's just read one more. 266. Taninan, we've learned. Whoever sees white grapes in their dreams, I guess white grapes are kind of green, pale green grapes, where you make white wine. Whoever sees white grapes in their dream, siman yafela, that's a good sign. Uchme, if you see black grapes or dark grapes in your dream, la, not a good sign. Maitama, why? It's not just about what you see, because everything in this world represents a spiritual matter. Because they represent, these are the secret of 2 known levels. Inun uchme vechivare, represent black and white. What do black and white represent? Hai iutav, white represents goodness, represents mercy. Vehai, black, iu delatav, represents not good, represents judgment. Vechulu invin, all the grapes, whether white or black, mercy or judgment. They all depend on the level of certainty. which represents the Malchut. Because Malchut has an aspect of judgment, black, an aspect of mercy, which is white. The sweetened judgments of Binah are like white. That's why one of the reasons why we wear white on Shabbat, why we wear white on Yom Kippur, represents the revelation of mercy, the transformed judgments. It's also, as a person gets older, as they grow older, they grow white hair, represents the sweetening of judgments, the wisdom. And therefore, mitpalshan b'chochmata, hen letav hen levish. The all of the wisdom, depending on the wisdom, they are revealed both in good or bad, depending on the level of revelation. One need mercy, and the other indicates the revelation of mercy. So let's just read this here. So the bad represents the judgment, the dark, the black, that they need mercy, and they need the sweetening of the judgment of Binah. And the white ones represents that they already have the mercy, and the judgments have already been sweetened by Binah, and that's why there's revelation of mercy. Sorry we went over time here, but we're going to go more into a little bit more about the grapes, about Adam and Eve, about Noah, and more into the interpretation of the following during the dream of the baker. Okay, we'll stop here. Thank you guys for joining. Lots of love to everyone, and see you tomorrow. Thank you.